It's another windy and a warm day across the Bluegrass, but I'm tracking changes for the weekend, and I've got the latest on Hurricane Matthew.
Speaking of, all eyes are on Hurricane Matthew as it moves towards the U.S., threatening the East Coast. How people are preparing for the storm ahead. And the Democratic Speaker of the Kentucky House has appointed a committee to investigate whether or not Governor Bevin broke the law. The details just ahead here at 4. And welcome to WKYT News at 4. I'm Amber Philpott reporting. It is a very warm and windy day across the Bluegrass. Take a look. Here is a live look now at downtown Lexington. That's not it today, but this awesome air will last for the rest of the week. But some big changes are on the way for us. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. Chris, a beautiful fall day. A lot of people I hear him talking today. Why can't it stay this way?
Yeah, you know what? They're going to get a few more days of this, but I've got your live look covered here, all right? We're not going to look into downtown Lexington, Hamburg Pavilion in the distance, and we've got the driveway of WKYT. Mix of sun and clouds over top of us. Has a September feel across much of central and eastern Kentucky, with thermometers upper 70s to low 80s, depending on exactly where you are throughout the region. But overall, it is another above normal temperature day. A little more in the way of some cloud cover streaming on in from the west. Earlier in the day, these clouds did produce a couple of gusty showers in the western parts of Kentucky. That stuff, though, is beginning to weaken out. A couple of cold fronts to our west. That first front will never actually get into Kentucky. Second front, though, that is across the Rockies, will scoot in here as we go into the weekend. And oh yeah, we've got Hurricane Matthew, Category 3 hurricane. So it's come down a little bit, but only because it crossed over Cuba. That's expected to strengthen back into a Category 4. Latest track on that takes it right toward Florida. Hurricane warnings are out for most of the east coast of Florida, and this may actually do a little loop as it makes its way into the weekend. I'll focus on that and let you know if there's any kind of an impact on our weather in Kentucky when I come back, Amber, in about 15 minutes.
Chris, thank you. And he's trying to pinpoint it there, but it is too soon really to know exactly where Hurricane Matthew will actually be in a few days or how hard it will hit the U.S. But officials in several southeastern states say they're not taking any chances and are urging residents to be ready. Diane Gallagher is in Charleston, South Carolina with the latest on Hurricane Matthew's path. It's our top story at 4.
Florida's governor says there are less than 24 hours to prepare for a direct hit.
If Matthew directly impacts Florida, there will be massive destruction that we haven't seen in years.
All of Florida is under a state of emergency. People are stocking up on water, piling up sandbags, and filling up gas tanks as they wait in long lines to get ahead of the storm.
I'm just waiting my time because I know it'll be worse tomorrow.
Miami will wait on evacuation. South Carolina's begin Wednesday.
$250,000 is what we're looking at in terms of evacuations.
Schools and government offices in 25 Palmetto State counties are closed. Many traffic lanes will reverse to help people get out faster. Now, North Carolina says the latest models look less damaging there, but warns models move.
From the National Guard to the Salvation Army, we've got them in place in case this thing turns.
President Obama canceled a Florida trip Wednesday because of the storm. The hurricane already disrupting plans with the potential to disrupt so many more.
You can always rebuild, you can always repair property, you cannot restore a life.
In Charleston, I'm Diane Gallagher.
The East Coast is getting some help from Kentuckians even before the storm hits. Kentucky Utilities and LG&E are sending more than 140 people to Florida. WKYT's Monique Blair talked with crews about how they're going to help.
Kentucky utility crews left last night and they were expected to get to Florida this morning. They went down there to provide mutual aid as Hurricane Matthew is expected to make a pretty intense appearance in the next few days. With a state of emergency declared for Florida, preparations are underway for those living on the East Coast. Kentucky Utilities, along with Louisville Gas and Electric Company, are sending more than 140 contractor line technicians, tree trimmers, and other support staff to help assist during and after the storm makes its impact.
We go with basically the crews the way they are outfitted for the job that they do every day.
Needing help when Mother Nature strikes is something Kentucky Utilities spokesperson Cliff Feltham says those who've lived in Lexington for a while are all too familiar with.
People who have been in Lexington for a while can go back to 2003 and know the ice storm of 2003 here in Lexington that was devastating for us. And we needed as many and as much reinforcements as we could get to restore from that 11, 12, 13-day event.
Now, Feltham says there are still plenty of crews here in town in case there is an event that happens that has not yet been anticipated. In Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
And once crews arrive in Florida, they'll participate in pre-staging activities and they'll be assigned to locations as needed following the storm's impact. U.S. Airlines is keeping a close eye on Hurricane Matthew. Delta and American Airlines will waive change fees for passengers heading to the Caribbean, Florida, and other cities in the southeast affected by the storm. Southwest, United, and JetBlue are also letting passengers rebook without a change fee or fare difference. Check with your airline for the fine print on change requirements. We're working on a number of other stories for you on WKYT starting at 4:30. Sam Dick joins us now from the newsroom with a look at some of the news in progress. Good afternoon, Sam.
Good afternoon, Amber. The battle between Governor Matt Bevin and House Speaker Greg Stumbo continues. This morning, Stumbo announced he is launching an investigative committee against the sitting governor. The committee will investigate whether Governor Bevin broke the law in his quest to convince lawmakers to switch parties. Stumbo told reporters the committee will have the power to subpoena witnesses and will submit its report to the legislature before it reconvenes in January.
I don't know if he did or didn't. I'm sure the story's not as bad as it was portrayed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a political farce, what is happening here.
Bevin's administration just responded, denying the allegations by Stumbo. We'll have more on the investigation ahead on WKYT News at 5 o'clock. Them some answers about the death of a Central Kentucky woman. Desiree Sparks was found dead last weekend in Lincoln County. She was reported missing from Danville last week. Police are now asking anyone along US 127 between Danville and Junction City who has surveillance cameras to come forward. They're also looking for cameras along Highway 698 in Lincoln County. 2 names are being added to Kentucky's Fallen Firefighter Memorial in Frankfort today. Zachary Clevenger worked for both the Estill and Montgomery County Fire Departments, and Billy Ray Jarvis was a member of the Allen Volunteer Fire Department. Their names are being added during the annual Fallen Firefighters Memorial Service. It honors all Kentucky firefighters who have given their lives in the line of duty. WKYT's Sabir Rayford will have more coverage of the service coming up at 5 o'clock. That's a look at some of the news in progress. Amber, back to you.
Sam, thank you. Now to some stories making headlines across the nation at 4. The vice presidential candidates mixed it up in their only debate of the campaign season last night in Virginia. Democrat Tim Kaine aggressively pressured Republican Mike Pence to vouch for his running mate Donald Trump. Pence, taking a more measured approach, accused Kaine and Hillary Clinton of wanting more of the same. The second debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump takes place Sunday. Mourners came dressed as Captain America, Wonder Woman, Superman, and Supergirl for today's funeral for 6-year-old Jacob Hall in South Carolina. He was shot and killed at school last week, police say, by a 14-year-old who had killed his own father before driving to the school and opening gunfire. Jacob's classmate and a teacher were wounded. Family members had asked mourners today to celebrate the boy's life by dressing as the superheroes he loved. Jacob was dressed as Batman for his funeral. His mother was there as Robin. A Boston hospital has successfully performed a double-arm transplant on a former Marine who lost his limbs in an explosion in Afghanistan. Sergeant John Peck lost his legs and left arm when he stepped on a homemade bomb in May of 2010. He later lost the other arm because of an infection. He was in a coma for 3 months, and it took him 2 years to recover. Peck is originally from Illinois and now lives in Virginia. According to Johns Hopkins Medicine, hand and arm transplants have been performed on more than 85 people around the world. Yahoo could have helped U.S. intelligence spy on some users. That's ahead in Money Watch. And do you love that new Mac smell? Now you can buy a candle that smells like a freshly opened Apple product. Welcome back in. Yahoo reportedly scanned hundreds of millions of email accounts at the U.S. government's request. That begins today's Money Watch. Yahoo is not denying the report, which says the company agreed to give email access to the NSA or the FBI last year. Yahoo continues to face questions about a breach in 2014 that compromised at least 500 million accounts. Federal regulators have announced new rules for prepaid debit cards. Card issuers will have to provide users with basic account information information like balances and transaction history free of charge. Protections for lost or stolen cards will also be expanded. Fees for the cards will have to be more clearly disclosed on the packaging. Nike is raffling off 89 pairs of its Back to the Future sneakers. The special edition Nikes are replicas of the self-lacing sneakers worn by Marty McFly in the iconic movie. Tickets for the online lottery are $10. The lottery closes on October 11th. All proceeds from ticket sales will be donated to the Michael J. Fox Foundation. The nonprofit is working to find a cure for Parkinson's disease. And how about this? For all those Apple addicts out there, there's now a scented candle that smells like a new Mac. When the soy wax candle burns, it emits the smell of unwrapped plastic and cold aluminum.
I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about at 21C today, preparing for the very first ever Kentucky Fashion Week. A preview for you when we return here on WKYT.
Well, the fall fashion this week has a little summer flavor to it. Temperatures stay on the warm side, but I am tracking a chill down and Hurricane Matthew up next.
Your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Middle of the work week on a Wednesday, and all things are wonderful in the world of weather out there. We've got a sun versus clouds kind of sky. Temperatures on the mild side. A lot of upper 70s, low 80s again today. Live sky cams showing more blue into Moorhead than what we're seeing in Lexington right now, where we have a little more in the way of some overcast conditions. And that's what we're going to be dealing with in the parts of central Kentucky. Get in on a little more cloud cover. But again, a lot of low 80s showing up this afternoon across the majority of the Bluegrass State. Defender Radar Network earlier had a couple of light showers into parts of western Kentucky. That stuff is beginning to weaken. It's ahead of a front. This front never going to get in here. It's the front that comes in behind that is going to usher in some chilly changes as we get deeper into our weekend. Between now and then, what you see and what you feel is what you get. Again, tomorrow right at 80 degrees, give or take a degree or two, mix of sun and clouds. So warm and windy tomorrow. Friday, more of the same, though you'll notice a little more in the way of some cloud cover increasing as the day goes on. Saturday could be an isolated shower or thunderstorm. Winds that may approach 30 miles per hour as chilly air begins to press on in to the area. So over the next 3 days, that's really the only threat that is in town, with the possibility of a shower or thunderstorm. And at no point am I expecting anything close to being a washout. Some of us on Saturday may not even see a raindrop. Let's walk you through the next few days, hour by hour forecast. Early tomorrow, 50s. Tomorrow afternoon, upper 70s, low 80s. You think we're going to change it up a little on Friday? Maybe just a smidge with a little more in the way of some cloud cover. Cooler start, low 50s, little cooler ending. A lot of mid-70s that will show up. The front itself does not arrive until we get into the day on Saturday. Here it is, and it will move through here without a whole lot of fanfare. You're not going to really notice this big rain shield that shows up at any point. Temperatures, though, will be noticeably cooler, and then it's a quick drop into the low and mid-50s by around 8 o'clock on Saturday evening. Here's the latest on Matthew. Category 3 hurricane, and the latest track on that takes it right toward the Sunshine State of Florida. Hurricane warnings are out for the east coast of Florida. This is likely to approach the coast as a Category 4 hurricane, and then it may curve toward the Carolinas and do a little loop. Coming up here at 5 o'clock, we are going to give you a bird's eye view on a virtual look of what it would be like if you're on the beaches of the east coast of Florida as this hurricane rides right up the coast. Really cool animation to show you at 5. Short-term forecast, we go into Saturday, 66 degrees and dropping, gusty winds. A lot of low 40s, maybe an upper 30 on Monday morning as temperatures come back down. Let's check in now with traffic and Officer Don.
Got an injury collision, this one at Clays Mill and Pasadena right now, and you can see the backups on Clays Mill approaching, it looks like inbound traffic approaching Pasadena. They're trying to get that clear. They have a wrecker on the scene at the moment. As far as drive times go, to Nicholasville, 15 minutes. Paris, about 24. Winchester is taking about 27 minutes. Now back to you in the studio.
Officer Don, thank you. It is a first for Lexington and for the state. Kentucky Fashion Week. Deanne Stevens is out and about today with more on what's happening. She joins us now from 21C. Hi, Deanne.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. We are here at the beautiful 21C, where this time next week, a lot will be happening. It's all in honor of the very first ever Kentucky Fashion Week. The cool part is you can be a part of it. Ed Mackey is with us, and Ed, you've kind of like spearheaded this whole project. Tell us about it.
It's an amazing project. I mean, we've worked for this for the past year. The whole idea is to showcase that Kentucky has a place in fashion. We're not New York, but we have our own identity. We have our own signature from the various counties, and you're going to see that here at Fashion Week.
Many times I'm thankful we're not New York, but I'm also glad that we are making some strides in being a bit fashion forward. Lynette is with us, and Lynette, you have this whole farm to fashion going on that I absolutely love.
Thank you very much. It's really exciting to be able to envision something that we have taken from scratch, from the ground up, and taken it to a whole finished product on our farm here in Bourbon County.
You've designed this. Tell us about it.
Yes, we designed it to be able to be comfortable and keep you warm in a hurry. And it's all natural colors that we put in it, and we designed the machine that we made it with. So.
It is absolutely beautiful. Just one of many outfits and designs you will see here for Kentucky Fashion Week. Samantha is coming in now. And Ed, I love what she said. This is all recycled.
Yes, it's all about repurposing. I mean, when you have this kind of creativity here in Lexington, in Kentucky, it shows that fashion can have no bounds.
Absolutely none. And Samantha, we'll get you to come over here and tell us a little bit about your recycled design here.
Well, thank you so much. Repurposing has always been very important to me. I started out not having a lot of money, but I wanted to look fabulous. And so I literally just make things that are lying around my house. This piece is actually made from a bed skirt, a placemat, a really ugly old prom dress, and a silk shirt.
Honey, you need to come to my house. We got all kinds of designs. We're going to talk to Ben coming up at 4:50, as well as some incredible other fashions and designers that are here. We got to tell you real quickly, how can people participate in Kentucky Fashion Week?
They can go to our page on Facebook. There's a link to the tickets at Eventbrite. All the info is there. Click on and be here.
Okay, be here, 21C. There is a fashion show 1 week from today going on. Get your tickets now. Don't forget, stay tuned. These outfits, I'm just going to give you a sneak peek. Check it out. Sneak peek, 4:50. We're going to be talking to the designer of this magnificent dress. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about. Back to you guys.
Deanne, thank you. Do those activity trackers really motivate people to exercise more? We'll take a look coming up in Better Living. And we'll see if ice baths really help athletes recover quicker. Tonight's Powerball jackpot is $80 million, and Friday night's Mega Millions jackpot is $41 million. It is time now for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. Do ice baths really help athletes recover quicker? And what really motivates people to exercise? A study of 800 adults in Singapore found activity trackers by themselves didn't lead people to walk or exercise more. But researchers discovered participants given both a fitness tracker and cash rewards for meeting goals were far more likely to boost their activity levels and continue to use the device. The Good Earth Egg Company is voluntarily recalling its eggs because of possible salmonella contamination. This comes after the Food and Drug Administration notified the company that eggs distributed by their facility were linked to salmonella cases in Missouri and surrounding states. Scientists discovered ice baths don't really help athletes recover after competing. The study found that chilly water doesn't appear to help reduce muscle inflammation after exercising. Deaths on America's roads are on the rise after falling for years. The government isn't sure what's causing the increase and has launched a new effort to figure out why. Chris Van Cleve reports.
This summer, a 53-year-old woman was pushed off the road and killed when the driver of this SUV hit her while texting and speeding. It's just one example in a growing trend of traffic deaths on U.S. roads. In 2015, more than 35,000 people died in crashes, the biggest increase since 1966. 2016 is on pace to be even worse. Deaths are up an estimated 10.4% in the first half of the year.
We have an immediate crisis on our hands.
On Wednesday, several government agencies and safety groups announced a new coalition with the goal of eventually ending all traffic deaths. Distracted driving is an ongoing issue. Low gas prices are also part of the problem because Americans are driving more. But Mark Rosekind, the head of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, says that doesn't fully explain the new spike in deaths.
Vehicle miles traveled might be part of it. It's barely half of it. So we got to figure out what else is going on.
Technology could be part of the solution. Car companies have agreed to make auto braking standard in virtually all vehicles by 2022, and self-driving cars could reduce human error down the road. But Debbie Hersman from the National Safety Council says with nearly 100 vehicle deaths every day, answers need to be found now.
100 fatalities a day is the equivalent of 2 regional jets crashing every day.
The coalition will meet over the coming months and devise a plan to make U.S. roads safer. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Arlington, Virginia.
Experts say 94% of crashes are caused by human error. That includes drinking and driving, not wearing a seatbelt, speeding, and distracted driving. All right, let's head over to Chris for another check of the weather. Chris, you know where I was today, and it was a perfect day for it?
Where was that?
The golf course.
Oh.
But I was shooting a story, not playing.
Oh,
Rats.
well, you know what? You get the best of both worlds there, right? Twist your arm to go work on a golf course on a day like this. But we are dealing with gorgeous conditions out there, and definitely seeing some of those fall colors showing up on this cam out of Jackson, southeastern Kentucky. Blue skies over top. Notice how we've had a little more cloud cover, though, across parts of the bluegrass region. So it's a hazy sunshine that is being noted with a lot of temperatures into the upper 70s to the low 80s. Quick drop through the 60s out there this evening, but overall it is an absolutely fantastic pattern that has a couple more days left in the tank, and then we'll change it up as we gear up for the weekend. We'll track those changes, and I've got the very latest on the changing track of Hurricane Matthew. That is straight ahead on WKYT News at 4:30, and it starts right now.